Hey, dude, YouTube, it's starting to get a little cooler out, so I figured why not, drink something to reflect that. So I got here Sam Adams Winter Lager. Now, to be more specific, this is a Bock, which is a darker German-style lager, and it is brewed with the addition of orange peel. At least that's what it says on the bottle. It says orange peel, cinnamon, and ginger. This is 5.6% alcohol by volume, so 5.6. So, not too crazy high up there on the ABV scale. This is a tad more than Budweiser, which is at 5%, and it has 22 IBUs. And I want to pose a quick question. Who out there considers Sam Adams craft beer? Now, it does have the sticker on the neck of the bottle, the Independent Craft Brewers Association sticker. So yes, it is technically craft beer, but for me, Sam Adams has always come off as like the Budweiser of craft beer. This is a beer that, yes, it's technically better, than your Bud Miller Coors, but at the same time, you see advertisements for this beer. You see, they have deals with companies and stuff. This is a large mass-produced beer, especially Boston Lager. It is, of course, priced higher than a lot of other beers, but I don't know too many craft beers I can get a 12-pack of. It's not really a craft beer characteristic, And from what I've heard, the Craft Brewers Association, they have changed the specifications of what makes a craft beer as far as the amount of beer brewed within a year to keep on allowing Sam Adams to have craft beer status. Now, back in the day, though, Sam Adams, along with Sierra Nevada and Anchor Brewing and all that, were I guess you could say, the founding fathers of craft beer in the 80s, and they've, produced some very nice beers, and they, of course, have their seasonal releases, Winter Lager being the winter one. There's, I'm pretty sure, a Summer Lager and Oktoberfest, things like that. But anyway, let's get to the beer. A very beautiful, oh, that's like a ruby or a dark ambery color. You can see through it, but not a whole lot. It looks very nice. Let's get a whiff. I get bread, and I do get especially the orange. I can get a little bit of orange peel, but it's kind of like a sweet breadiness with spices, spiced bread. That's what I'm getting. A little bit of the cinnamon, a little bit of the ginger. Although it's not hopping out of the glass, you really got to look for it. And as far as the spices go, this isn't an incredibly spice-filled beer. Now, it says orange peel, cinnamon, ginger. I've seen some beer reviews. Now, of course, Sam Adams does reformulate some of their beers every couple years. So I don't know if it still has it, but at one point, at least, this had coriander in it. It might still have it. I'm not sure. But as far as flavor goes, you get the roasted barley malt. You don't get any smokiness or coffeeness like a lot of beers with roasted barley malt, and I bumped the damn table. But it is a darker bread, like a whole wheat kind of deal, and you do get some spice. You do get a hint of cinnamon in there, a little bit of orange. I'm also getting. You do get the cinnamon on the aftertaste a little bit more, and I'm even getting like a little note similar to what I would find in Blue Moon, just a little bit. So there might really be coriander in this still. Not saying that this does taste like Blue Moon by any means, but there's just like this little something there, and I'm like, I've had that before, and I think it was in Blue Moon. Overall, this is a very solid beer. And I was talking about, asking, do y'all consider Samuel Adams craft beer? As far as the styles of beer they make a very diverse amount of styles. But as far as their interpretation on it, they're pretty milder, than some other brew companies where it's like the Imperial fucking Stout and you're getting all kinds of shit, or a fucking double IPA, or all this or that. Sam Adams makes very solid beers. And they make a decent amount of variations and different styles of beer, but they still are pretty even, middle of the road interpretations of those styles. You're not going to get nothing that's going to knock your, you know, you might get a Sam Adams product that will knock your socks off, actually, because their milk stout is one of my favorite beers. I grab it whenever I can find it, but it's still a very middle of the road interpretation of what a milk stout is. And as far as a winter lager, you know, in this case a bock with some spices, you don't get a huge spice character. Although it's there, you know, there's some added flavor, but it's not, ooh, excuse me, but it's not jumping out of the glass. It is there to complement the already brewed beer, or the base beer, I guess you could say. But it's not, you know, the orange, the cinnamon, the ginger, it's not overtaking the flavor of just a base bock. It is there to complement it, and I guess you could even say uplift the flavor, and to really, you know, add a little bit of complexity without overwhelming the drinker. And as far as the price and the style goes, this is a good example of, you know, a spiced bock. I don't know if there is a style called spiced bock. I doubt there is, but a bock that, you know, has had some added spices and some orange added to it. It is a mild drinking beer. Now, of course, you're not going to be chugging these with the boys, you know. But, you know, if you want to invite a couple buddies over, you know, get a 6-pack or 2, depending on how many folks are over, and just sip on a couple of these. This is very enjoyable, although, like I said, not a party beer. Like, if I go to someone's house and they're fucking playing beer pong with Sam Adams Winter Lager, I'm gonna get bloated quick. Let me just say that. Honestly, that's something I want to do now. Whenever I have some extra money, I'll get some decent beer. Like, I'm like, hey, who wants to fucking beer pong with Boston Lager? They're gonna be like, what? No, why do you want to do that? We got this fucking Milwaukee's Best Light, or we got this fucking, you know, Natty. I'm like, well, I just want to change it up, guys. But anyway, I digress. How would I rate this beer? Well, for the price and for the style, I would go a solid 7. Ooh, I guess it's well carbonated. I'd give it a 7. Has a decent amount of flavor. It's a good, solid, middle of the road example of this kind of beer and this style of beer. There's probably, if you hunt, you can find better examples, and if you hunt enough, you can probably find some worse examples. But for what it is, you know, it's a step up from your Bud Miller Coors and stuff like that. This is for a beer drinker who, you know, who drinks beer that tastes like beer, but every once in a while wants to step it up. Or it's for the beer drinker who wants to kind of ascend and rank from the, you know, hey, I drink Miller High Life and Coors banquet, which I do, you know, up to a craft beer drinker. This is kind of that middleman, just like I just reviewed Yuengling a couple minutes ago. That's similar in style. This has a little more flavor and a little more complexity compared to a Yuengling, but both have some familiarities to the average beer drinker while still adding flavor and complexity. It's not the most complex beer around. Some people bitch about Sam Adams being like, oh, well, my local craft brewery has a better example of this beer compared to Sam Adams. It might cost $3 or $4 more, but I tell you what, it's, you know, you get so much more flavor and stuff. Well, sometimes, you know, you want to have a good sipping beer, but you don't want to get weighed down by it. That's kind of what Sam Adams is for, and this is a good example of it. You could drink, you know, sit around and sip on these and enjoy yourself, and you're not going to be, you know, maybe you might not have a pen and paper next to you kind of scribbling down the notes you're getting. You ain't going to be sitting here going, oh, I'm tasting this, and I'm tasting that, and I'm getting this. You're just sitting here going, oh, this is a very solid drinking beer. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10 for what it is. It's very solid, and if you're, you know, starts getting colder, I don't know about you, but I do and myself enjoy trying different beers, and when it gets colder, transitioning to some darker beers. And Sam Adams Winter Lager could definitely be a darker beer for when I want something a little more complex, but at the same time, I don't want something that's heavier than shit. This is, yeah, heavy beer. This is about 190 something calories, I believe, but it's not Dragon's Milk. It's not an Imperial Stout, or it ain't aged in a barrel. It's a solid beer. You get, you know, you get some spice, you get some sweet breadiness, get a little bit of hops here and there. Overall, it's a dang good example of a darker German style lager. 7 out of 10 is what I'm giving it. Y'all have a good night and pleasant tomorrow, and make sure to kill your local pedophile.